Okay, so for today I'm going to answer a couple of questions. The first thing here is I have a bunch of different colors. I have red, and for some of you the red is going to be different. It could be, it doesn't matter, you get a bright red, but in this sense you could have an apple crimson, or you could have a cad red. This is an ultramarine blue, works fine. This is just a cad yellow and a phthalo green, and these are my tea whites. So I'm going to show you a couple of things first. Can somebody run over there and get me that rag, please, on the dish hanging up? So what I'm going to do is we're using acrylic, so I have my water here and I have my brushes. I'm going to do a couple of demos. The first one, let me do it like this so I have more space, is going to be the use of different types, thank you, of brushes. So when I'm looking for a brush, the first thing that I look for, whether it's a watercolor, oils, or acrylics, is the type of hair, because the type of hair will matter depending. If it's acrylic brush, you have the option of getting natural hair, right? Or you have the option of getting synthetic. The synthetic hair would be a little bit smoother. So some of you have brushes that look like they're sable, but they're not. They're kind of like this synthetic kind of plastic. And you notice they're very soft to the touch. And that kind of brush gives you a very soft, even stroke. If you want something with a little bit more texture, you would use something that is more like a natural hair brush. Now for the watercolors, that's all they have. They have a lot of natural hair brushes, even squirrel hair. But you don't have to use that. You could use any kind of synthetic also brush for the watercolors. The watercolor brush is especially for holding the water. I like using natural hair brushes because they're thick, they have texture, and if you work with them correctly and apply them lightly, you can also make them do a smooth stroke. The next thing when you're looking for a good brush is the size. You want a long brush where you can hold it. So this is the body, this is the ferrule, and this is the hair. And you want to have it long enough so you can hold it at the end, the medium, or down here for a more detailed stroke, okay? So this is this type of brush. I like wooden handles. If you have these plastic handles, they're slippery and they're hard to hold. The next thing about a good brush is it has this double edge here where it's kind of, you can see here, where it has this kneading where it's really tight. And that's because the hairs are going all the way into the ferrule. If it's too short, or if this space like this, you know, is a little bit shorter and it doesn't squeeze in, the hairs will come out. So that's what you're looking for when you look for a good brush. The next thing you're going to look for, so again, the size, what kind of hair, the quality of the hair, if it's going to work for the medium, and also the structure in the body. The next thing that you want to do is you want to think of the size. So I like to have brushes going from very small to large. So I have different types of small brushes. I have small brushes that come to a point, and I have small brushes, we call them a round, and then I have small brushes that have a little square, has a little square to it, but it's also a small one. This is for less precise, right? So you always want a round one that comes to a point. They also have daggers, a liner, or a rigger. The next thing that I have is I have a little baby fan brush. So let me show you the difference of how those brushes work. So let's start with a smaller brush, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to dip it in my water, wipe it off, and I'm just going to pick up a color, and then I'm going to put it on this piece of paper, and I'm going to do a line. And I'm holding the brush at the end, and I'm just doing a line very lightly. Now I'm doing this on purpose. Okay, so that's one way. The other thing is if I pick up more paint and I push the brush down, the brush expands. And do you see how wider the line gets? Okay, so it depends on how you're holding the brush. If you're holding the brush at the end, and if your hand shakes, you can get a mile stick, or you can put it on something supportive. You see how I have it on something supportive? It's not moving, and I can hold my arm. This will stop you. But I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to show you something else with this brush. I can also do these little strokes, okay? So sometimes when students are doing water or waves, they have these little strokes. And do you see how I can vary and do a thick stroke if I push down with more paint? And if I lift it up, the stroke is a little bit thicker, right? So I can do that with a round brush that comes to a point. And the smaller the brush is, the smaller the point will be. The next thing is I have these small brushes, which I call a square. It's not a square, it's called a flat. And they come different sizes, and I'll show you what I mean. This flat is a little bit longer, so when I press down, it expands out, so the stroke is larger. But if I have a flat that is very short like this, when I press down, I can't press down that much, so the stroke will not expand. So this would be a more versatile brush because I can use it like this, or I can use it also like this. So let me show you the first one. So I'm gonna dip, wipe off. I'm gonna pick this up and I'm gonna do just a line here, and you can see I'm just gonna gradiate it like that. This I can use like going horizontal or vertical, but I can also get a little paint and I can also use it like this. So this gives me two different kind of strokes with this. I can get a thinner stroke again if I am going like this, right? I can make it thinner, 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 or I can push down this way and pull the stroke out. So it depends on which kind of brush that, or how you want to use the brush, okay? The other brush that I have, and I did a whole series on this, I'm not going to go into it, but I'll do it super fast right now, is the fan brush, right? So the fan brush is very good. I tell students that are doing water, I'll do the water real fast again, because what I can do is I kind of can get these erratic kind of strokes real fast. If I have waves or something like that, I can curve the brush like this. It is very good if I want to do a wash at the same time. So let's get some water in here and let's do a wash. And do you see how I can smooth that out, and I can get a gradation from light to dark in no time whatsoever? So I can get this light and the dark at the same time. I can also go back on top of it, you know, if I wanted to do something else, or if I was putting another color, let's just put this color on top. And you can see all those colors coming through. So it works as a wash and a brush to cover on top. I did a whole thing on it. I'm not going to do it now. I'll just show you one more thing. I can dip in, let's just say I have green and yellow on the brush at the same time, right? I can dip it in and I can get these strokes where they blend together like that. So it's a really good blender. Or I can do it if I was doing grass. Let's see, I'm kind of doing this backwards. But if I was getting these strokes, and I do it all the time when I'm doing, you can see if we have some grass, then you can go in there, I don't know, with another lighter color in between. And the fan brush comes in many different colors. It comes, not many different colors, and many different sizes. So again, I have a smaller fan brush even than that. So that's some of the things. The other kind of brush that we have is this one. Right, so you can see it's a little bit different. Again, it's a flat, but it's a little bit, look at the hairs here, they're a little bit thicker, right? I like doing this when I do clouds. You know, if I had clouds, I can kind of do these dots, and I get these really cool clouds, you know, where I can get them heavier or lighter. I love using this brush for that. It always works. You know, I talk about the 5 different brushes in another video that you would need as an artist. So that brush is good for that. And again, it's good for dabbing again. If we're doing like some kind of tree or something like that, we can kind of get that texture right away. See if I was building this up, and I can dab and I can come in there with another color. You can see how I can just blend that wonderful yellow into that green, and I get this beautiful kind of texture that is happening when I'm just building up these colors. And I can go back to the green and put more shadows, and it never gets muddy. So yes, I do recommend this brush. It's an excellent blender, as you can see how fast that I can blend it. I can also pick up, you know, 2 colors at the same time like I can with the fan brush, and I use this when I'm doing foliage or something like that, and I can go back with the lighter color on top and blend it, and they both, you can see both of the colors together. So that's why it's good to get this flat brush. It's a little bit different. It's bigger here. I've had this brush for like about 35 years. That's how good I take care of them. Which goes to the next step. When you have brushes, you should never take them and you should wash them off, rinse them. You know, when you go home, you can rinse them in dish liquid, or you can just rinse it with water and get all of the color out. I did a whole nother situation of how you should never throw the paint down the sink and what you should build. But in this situation, once the brush is clean, you want to lie it flat, reshape it, and lie it flat. You never want to throw it in your water like this for a long time, or solvent, whatever it is, because this loosens and this ferrule, and it starts coming off from the body, from this, and it could also wood rot. So dry it out, lie it flat, and if you have a brush holder, don't put it in the brush holder right away, and reshape it. Now, okay, so now I want to show you one more thing. So, okay, let's cut it there, because that's going to be long.